Hello everyone! Welcome to our live stream for version 4.34 for the JavaScript Maps SDK. Today we have 4 team members to show the latest updates to the Maps SDK, and let's do a round of introduction first. So, hi everyone, I am Yixuan Hu Emily. I'm product manager for web development technologies, including the JavaScript Maps SDK, Calcite open source libraries as well. I'm currently based in New Jersey. It's pretty cold today, but it's sunny, so that's nice. And next up, Heather.
Hi, everybody. My name is Heather Gonzago. I work remotely in Charlotte. I've been with the company since 1999. I've been working on the JavaScript team for a pretty long time, primarily focusing right now on widgets like the editor widget, the widgets that are, I shouldn't say widgets, components and widgets, editor, feature table, primarily. So, and yeah, it's cold here and not that sunny. And Undrol, I'm done. I'm sorry. Undrol, off to you.
Thanks, Heather. Hey, my name is Undrol Patsuk, and I'm a product engineer on the JavaScript SDK team. And I've been with the team about 10 years now, but I've been with Esri over 20 years, and I'm based off of Redlands. And I work on various feature layers, VectorTileLayer, raster layers, query API, and map view, among other things. And next one is Jimmy.
Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Jimmy Chen. I'm a product engineer on the ArcGIS Map SDK for JavaScript team. I've been with Esri since 2019, and so I've been here a little bit over five and a half years. I mainly work on the component side for charting capability. So anything charts related, usually it's a good idea to triage the questions to me and my team. Yep, and pass it back to Emily.
Great. And I've already seen a bunch of people. We have friends from Vermont, Seattle, Colorado. Feel free to include where you're joining the live stream from, and we will get started. We have a lot of content for you today. So first of all, we will have Heather talk about great updates from editing and feature table.
Awesome. Hopefully you guys can see everything. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to talk about two things that came out with 434. First being the split and merge workflows that were added within the editor, widget, and component. And second is the layer level field configurations that were added to the feature layer. So first things first, we're going to go in, and I have an application here that I created that works just with the editor component, nothing fancy. I'm consuming a web map, and in this web map, it's just a standard parcels polygon layer that has editing, function, update, and creation capabilities enabled on it. Nothing fancy. I do not have any additional customizations added to this editing into the workflows or in the editor itself. It's just directly out of the box. So I'm going to go in and start off by selecting one of my parcels. Okay. And first things, what you'll notice here is within the form, I automatically should see I have a form configured to show the parcel identification numbers. I have a field here that has an expression that's set on it that automatically calculates the area of this feature. And then just this validation status field as well. So one thing you'll notice here up top is that I automatically have this split action that gets added. I didn't do anything to this. As long as I have that permissions to update, it will recognize this and provide this within the editor. So I'm going to go in, click on my action, and what you'll notice now is I have a range of geometries to use as my splitter, my input splitter. I'm going to let it go to just the basic polygon or polyline. And what you'll notice now, as this result, I have these two resulting features. So my little subdivision, I have these two features. I can go in, hover over it, provide highlights. It'll show me which one I'm working with. If I click on them, you can actually go in here and update what you need. Like, in this particular case, if my identification number, if anything needs to be updated, I can do that. One thing as well as I want to take note of is the expression automatically gets updated as well. So you'll see here this calc area is now 1,921 and 2,234. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And you'll notice here, I've got two resulting features from that split. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the inverse of that. We're going to merge some stuff. So if I go in, I'm going to select just these two features. And what you'll notice here is within this, within the panel, I have the ability to go in and within the ellipses, I can click on merge the features, or I could go into edit the features and I get the same action within the toolbar similar to the split. But in this case, since I have multiple features merged or multiple features selected, it gives me the ability to merge. So I'm going to go ahead and merge those. And here it's going to give me a read-only form, but it's going to ask what particular feature it is that I want to retain that attribute information from. So what is my key feature? So I'm just going to let it go to this top 045 pin number or 045 parcel ID number and submit that. And you'll see here now I have this updated feature. It took those two selected features, performed a union on that, and then once I hit submit, the apply edits get called under the hood and gets automatically applied to this feature layer. No additional updates or anything was done within the editor. This automatically gets recognized within the UI, so you don't have to do anything fancy on your end if you're working with this, with the editor component or the widget. So, okay, so that is the split and the merge functionality. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and go over to the feature table. All right, if it wants to work with me. All right, maybe not today. All right, well, hold my breath on that one. We've got a little bit of time here. So I'm just going to transition over instead. I'm going to talk a little bit about this, the flexible field formatting, the layer level field configurations. So basically what I wanted to show you is within that feature table, the table isn't the only place where you see this, but basically we now provide you the ability to specify layer level how you want to have your fields to be configured. So prior to 434, some of you may have had this or had these questions before in the past. There was no real easy way to go in and format across the board for your layer if you want to have like numeric formatting or date formatting. Now you can do this within these field configurations that have this field configurations property that you can set now on top of the feature layer. So this is not going to want to work for me today, and that's really disappointing because it was just 2 minutes ago. But demo guides are not on my side right now. But I do want to point out this has a lot of really good information. The field configuration class has everything broken down. So this was a new class that was added. In addition to this, it's based off of INTL standards. So if you're working with formatting, we have numeric formatting. So there's, and then we also have date and time formatting as well. So all of that is written out and specified here within the API reference. We have limitations. So right now, it's only supported on feature layers, feature service-based feature layers and standalone tables, but we will be adding additional support to this in upcoming releases. And in addition to that, I wanted to point out there's a really good blog that Lauren Ballantyne wrote. She's on our ArcGIS Online team, but she wrote that we work very closely with them with the SDK, and she wrote this really good blog that specifically talks about these new updates with field formatting and why it's important, what you may or may not need to be worried about, and then how you can work with it within existing maps, backwards, compatibilities, moving forwards, and so forth. And I believe that is all I wanted to show. Unfortunately, I couldn't go in and show you the app itself, but maybe if we have time at the end and it's working, I can bring it back up. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Emily. And yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Heather. That's great. That's great demonstration. And currently in the chat, I'm not seeing any specific questions, but one of our friends mentioned, yeah, we've missed it since version 3X. Do you want to address that, Heather?
Okay. All righty. I'm sorry about that. Can you repeat that question again?
Yeah, so we have a comment saying they're missing split and merge since version 3X. And do you want to comment on that?
Oh yeah. So in 3X, the split and the it was called a little bit different, but it was automatically directly. You had the ability to do it within the, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I worked with it, the editor digit. So yeah, it's basically the same thing. You have that now, that ability to perform any type of splits. Again, you don't, the action is there. So it's going to be automatic if you have that, if you have those permissions set on that feature layer. You will be able to have that displayed, enabled for you. Same goes with the merge.
That's awesome to hear. That's great.
And I do have it showing now in the feature table. I don't want to take up any more time, but yeah, it basically what I wanted to show everybody was that I had it set. There was a couple fields in my feature table that were the same parcels, that basically I override the formatting so that I did not want to show any decimal places for my area. And I wanted to update the date to show slightly different than what we had, like by the service defaults. So that was it. But yeah, we've got some samples and stuff as well that show how to work with field configurations. And we point to that too within the API reference. So that can be helpful, hopefully.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, so if you want to learn more about any of the features, go to our release note, which is linked to the YouTube description, and you can explore samples and other documentation there as well. And yeah, so thank you, Heather. So next up, I'm going to share some 3D updates. If you have joined our live stream before, you know it's usually our friends from the Zurich team is sharing their amazing updates, but their entire team is having a field trip, so I'm going to share the update for them. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will pass it along and start from there. So first of all, there's a lot of updates in 3D for this new release. The most exciting one is the flow renderer in 3D scenes. So we've introduced flow renderer in 2D a few years ago, and that was really well received. It's a great way to visualize directional raster data, such as vector UV, vector MAC directions in the imagery tile layer or imagery layer. And it is a great way to visualize it in a striking animations. And now this flow renderer capability is coming to our 3D scenes. And the flows can be visualized at different altitude by configuring the layer's elevation info. And to show that, we have two samples. The first is visualizing the global average wind speed in the wind speed. And as we can see, we have it on the globe. And as we zoom in, the flow render is updated. It's a lot happening right now, but when we zoom out, the wind information will be updated, and it is just a really beautiful way to see these movements. And also with the elevation info, you can change the elevation mode to visualize your speed, your directional data. So in here, we have the wind information. We have 3 modes in the elevation modes. This is set by elevation info. The first is on the ground. So basically, we slap the renderer on the ground of this data on the ground. And if we want to change it to relative to ground, then that is when we configure like an offset. So in this way, it is on top with an offset that we manually set. We can also set the wind height to a absolute height. So in this way, it will show the wind information to visualize as an absolute height. It just creates a really beautiful perspective for your work. Yeah, so that's all about the new flow render in 3D. Besides that, we also introduced a few new analysis capabilities. The first one is the volume measurement analysis. It is a great way to interactively measure and visualize ground surface volumes directly in 3D. So we have 2 modes. The first, as shown in the video, is called cut and fill. So this is a great way to cut some part of the ground. You can adjust how deep you want to go, and then let me go back. You can adjust how deep you want to go and see the volume in client side real time. And the other mode is measure stockpile. This is a great way for existing volumes. So you can trace along this little pile and it will measure how big it is and how much fill it has inside. So it's a great way to elevate your 3D analysis workflow. Another one we have also in beta release is the elevation profile analysis. So this one allows you to build custom elements to either draw a new profile line or select a feature from a map we're seeing as an input. So this is available in both 2D and 3D, and you can access the analysis results. For this one, you probably know like, oh, don't we could do it, right? It is still currently in the it is provided as component, and it now is also provided as analysis for you to easily use it, and you can combine the results to analyze the results in any like UI charting libraries you want. And we have a sample for this. Like, feel free to explore it and play with it. Again, it is currently in beta release for both of the volume measurement analysis and elevation profile, and please try them out. There's a few more of other 3D updates, including some performance updates and upload georeference data models. Please check out our release note for the new updates. That's all from me. Let's see. Do we have any questions in the chat? Okay, seems to be good. And please post your questions in the chat and we will address them. Thank you. And that's all from me. And next up, we have Anjo. Anjo, can you share your updates on ParquetLayers?
Hey, this is Sunro. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear and see you well.
I'm not sure if anyone can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you. And we can see the screen about ParquetLayer as well.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I just got confused for a second. So I'm here to talk about ParquetLayer and TileJSON support for vector tile layers. So first, I'm gonna go with ParquetLayer. ParquetLayer was added in beta at version 4.33. It still is in beta at 4.34, but we've added a lot of enhancements to this layer, and I'm here to talk about what those enhancements are. But before I do, I want to talk about what ParquetLayer is. So ParquetLayer allows you to add Parquet files to your Parquet files to our JavaScript SDK so that you can visualize and work with the contents of your Parquet files. Now, Apache Parquet file is a binary file that allows you to store data in columnar format, and those column formats can also further be grouped into rows of groups and pages. And this makes it more efficient to read and fetch data out of Parquet files. Okay. And to add a Parquet file to our ParquetLayer, your Parquet file must be saved with a gzip or snappy compression or no compression at all. If you are using different compression, you will get an error, okay? So to add a ParquetLayer to the map, you create a new instance of a ParquetLayer, and you set the URLs property on a ParquetLayer to point to one or more Parquet files. If you're adding more than one Parquet file, you need to make sure that you have same geometry types and field schema, obviously for obvious reasons. So for spatial Parquet file, we support two types of geometry encoding. First one is a Parquet encoding location or location encoding. So in this case, your Parquet file has two columns, one representing X, the other one representing Y coordinates of your point features. And if those column names have one of those names you see here on the slide here, then all you need to set is the URLs property of your ParquetLayer to point to your Parquet files or file. But if the column names do not match one of those names you see here again on the slide, then you need to set the geometry encoding on the ParquetLayer, and in this case to Parquet encoding location. And then in encoding, you need to specify the name of the fields that contain X and Y coordinates of your point features. Then you set the geometry type on the layer to point. Then set the spatial reference on the ParquetLayer either to WJS84 or Web Mercator, because those are the two spatial references we support for ParquetLayer at this time. Now, the second type of encoding is WKB encoding. So in this case, your Parquet file has a binary field that contains your geometries in a WKB format. And if your Parquet file does not have metadata or insufficient metadata, then also you need to set the geometry encoding, in this case to Parquet encoding WKB. And in the encoding, you need to specify the name of the field that contains your binary geometries. Then set the spatial reference on the ParquetLayer and set the geometry type either to point, polyline, polygon, or multi-point. So let's talk about the enhancements we added at 4.34. So at 4.34, we added support for non-spatial Parquet files, meaning that your Parquet file does not need to have columns that contain geometries. You can directly add those to ParquetLayer and interact with the contents of your Parquet file in our JavaScript SDK. We also added support for FeatureTable. Now you can visualize the attributes of your Parquet files in the FeatureTable component now. We also added support for query API, meaning that you can call query features, query feature count, query object IDs, and query extent methods on an instance of a Parquet layer now. We also added support for Web Mercator spatial reference at this release. And we've also done a lot of performance improvements for ParquetLayer. For example, we improved the initial loading of ParquetLayer, and also we improved strategies to fetch features from ParquetLayer at runtime. Okay. So now I want to show you the sample we added at 4.34 for ParquetLayer. So in this case, on the map, we are looking at the water well locations in state of Kansas. And this data is coming from ParquetLayer, and we are adding the Parquet file to the ParquetLayer. So in this case, we are creating a new instance of a ParquetLayer, and we are adding one Parquet file, and we are setting a pop-up and render in this case. And then if on the right-hand side, if you see here, we are loading over 300,000 water wells through this Parquet file. And then if you look at the render here, we are creating a class breaks render with a size and color visual variables. Okay, so we're looking at orange. Orange color means these are deep water wells. Light blue means they're shallow water wells. And then if you see a deep hues of those orange and blue colors, that means there is a huge concentration of water wells within those areas. So we support all render types, all visual variables, and smart mapping functionalities on the ParquetLayer. And then also, as you can see here, we support the ParquetLayer in layer list and the legend components. So that is it for ParquetLayer. Next, just a very quick explanation on support for TileJSON on VectorTileLayers. So TileJSON is an open source spec JSON spec, and it is a JSON-based format that allows you to add map tile sets to your web mapping clients. And you can add tile sets from JSON tile sets and the vector tile sets. But because we're adding this TileJSON to VectorTileLayer, obviously we support TileJSON pointing to vector tile sets. Okay. And this support should make our European users very happy, because from my understand, it's a very commonly used spec in Europe. So to add a TileJSON to VectorTileLayer, you simply need to set the URL property on your VectorTileLayer to point to your TileJSON spec. TileJSON source, sorry. And TileJSON doesn't have a style that instructs how to render the features that are coming from your tile set. Because of this, JavaScript SDK defines default styles on those different features. For example, it applies black fill for polygon features, black lines for line features, and black circles for point features. And the default spec matches the behavior in ArcGIS Pro, so that you get consistent behavior across the platform. And obviously, you have the option to go change the style as you like. And that sums up my section for me. Back to you, Emily.
Thank you so much, Angel. Great, thank you so much, Angel. I'm not seeing any questions at the chat at the moment. So, dear audience, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat. We will address them accordingly. And next up, we will have Jimmy to share charts updates.
All right. Can you all see my screen? All right. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about some charts components updates. Charts components was first released as a beta package back last year in version 4.29. Since then, we have made a ton of improvements to make the package a little bit more user-friendly for newer users. And I'm excited to share some updates with you in 4.34. So to find the necessary documentation to get started, I'm on the ArcGIS Map SDK for JavaScript documentation site. On the left-hand side, table content, we have this section called charts. Inside, you will find tutorials and some samples and necessary documentation to get started. So currently, we support 10 different chart types that you can display and render. Today, I'll be going over 2 of the main ways you can bring them into a custom application. So one of the first ways is to bring it in a pre-configured chart that has already been displayed and everything in MapViewer. So here we have a very simple bar chart for a Chicago crime data layer. I'm basically splitting the data by year, and every year have 3 different categories to show how many counts of the crime has been committed in that area. For this to display in a custom application, I'm going to save the chart configuration to the layer. And then once this has been saved, I'm going to jump over to my code pen which is a custom application that has a map component containing the same web map ID as the previous web map that I've shown. And I'm going to bring in a chart component. So here, after I commented out line 43, as you can see, the chart has been shown on the map with just one line of code. All you need to do is provide a couple parameters. In this case, you will need to provide the layer item ID. The layer item ID derives from the layer that has the chart configuration saved on it. And then you need to provide a chart index. So here we only have one chart, so it's at index 0. You can configure how many chart you want, and you can use this chart index to display whichever index you want. And I also have this slotted onto the top right corner of this web app. So with one line of code, you're able to bring in any charts that has been previously configured in MapViewer into your application. One of the things that developers tend to ask is, if I don't want to configure it in MapViewer, I want to configure it directly in the code editor, how do I do that? And that comes to the second way of creating a chart, which is using charts model. So charts model allows you to create a new chart programmatically. And previously I mentioned there's 10 different chart types, and all of them have individual models. So they're all listed with documentation on our developer site. So you can go and explore whichever chart type that you want to create. And one of the newest chart type that we introduced in 434 is heat chart. So heat chart allows you to create a matrix-like chart in a grid format. There's multiple different types of heat chart that you can create. Today, I'll be briefly demoing a calendar heat chart using 2 different date fields. You can also create a matrix-based heat chart with categorical fields. And all the samples have been added to reflect the customization that you can do with heat chart. So today I'll be going over the calendar heat chart. Very similar to the previous sample, I've simply added the ArcGIS chart component. And then with creating a chart programmatically, you will need to import the create model method from the ArcGIS charts components package. And then here I'm also importing a feature layer to create from a new portal item. The next step is to use query selector or any ID selectors or class selectors to get the ArcGIS chart component. Then you're ready to get started with modifying and creating the model. So I'm calling the create model method that I imported a couple of seconds ago. Here you need to pass in 2 different parameters. One of them is the layer. So here I'm passing in the layer that I just created on line 39 for the feature layer. And then the second one is the chart type. So like I mentioned, we support 10 different chart types, and all of them can be found in our documentation. Next, you're ready to start customizing the heat chart. So for a calendar heat chart, you will need 2 date fields. So in this case, I'm using 2 last review date for a New York City hotel. I'm also adding a numeric field for the price of that specific date. And I'm setting the aggregation type to average for that specific date. For a calendar heat chart, one of the main advantage is you can visualize the data in a grid-like format. And of course, this can be customized and set to however large or small of a data visualization method you want. So on this particular calendar heat chart, I'm displaying a 12 by 31 grid. So the x-axis is showing month of the year, while the y-axis is showing day of the month. So if you want to visualize this data in a different way, for example, in a weekly manner, you can change any of these to, for example, date of the week. That will allow you to reduce down the size to become a 7 by 12 grid to visualize the data a little bit differently. I'm also setting the x-axis and y-axis value format to match the fields that is being set for those dates. The next thing is you can also customize the gradient color to however your application is looking. So in this case, I have set the gradient to make the outliers pop up a little bit more. However, you can change the colors and the gradient to match your application's theme. Some last minute things that I want to point out is there's a ton of customization that you can do on the chart. This obviously doesn't only apply to heat chart or calendar heat chart. This applies to all the different chart types we support. You can format the title, subtitle. You can add descriptions. You can change the legend locations, update the legend titles. Basically, anything you see on this chart formatting wise can be customized through the charts model. And I said all the available documentation is ready for you on the developer site. The very last line I'll call out is we need to set the updated charts model to the model property on the element. And then here you have a fully rendered charts to display the data for average price on any given day for a New York City hotel. And I'll pass it back to Emily for Q&A. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Thank you for sharing the update. I'm not currently seeing any questions in the chat. That means you're doing a great presentation. And yeah, please feel free to try out our new chart that's out of beta finally. And we will keep adding more amazing updates to the chart components. And yeah, and last, I will share some updates for web components. I'm going to share my screen. So in this release, we added more support for web components, and we have a lot of updates to share. And as you know, Esri is going full speed towards web components, and in the process, we're adding and changing a lot of things. So there's a few programming pattern updates for you to know. The first is for styling components. You can style your components to match your brand. Starting at version 4.34, we introduced shadow DOMs that encapsulate styles for all our components. So in this way, it will be a little bit harder for you to access the styling in the component via CSS surgery. But in this way, you can style the component using the calcite design tokens. These are CSS variables for you to change the look and feel of your components. So you can style your base map, layers, and highlights together with your components to match your application theme. And some component-specific CSS variables will be available based on needs. So we really like you to share your input. And I will share how in a bit. Another thing is we're having slots in components. So introduced in 4.34, let's look at the picture on the right side. We introduced slots for you to place map components and any UI elements you want inside the map or scenes. So in this way, like in this example, we're putting this calcite button in the lower right corner of this map and another calcite element in the upper left corner. So you can not only put in the map components like legends inside the map, it will make it a lot easier for you to bring that in, to bring other UI elements in your map applications as well. And on the left side, these are all like potential future slots for you to use. For the development, it could be inside any other components. And we really need your feedbacks to inform our future roadmaps. So please share your ideas. Do you want more styling and configurable options for you to create your own styles for components, or do you want slots in any specific components? Just let us know. So we have the ArcGIS JavaScript Maps SDK ideas page. It is shown in here, and you can submit an idea using the component tag. That would be really helpful for us to triage your ideas, and we monitor them really well to see what you want. It was a great way for us to access what you want to do in the future. So so feel free to share that in the Maps SDK ideas. And also for building custom workflows, so we've been providing view models. These are ways for you to access the underlying business logic, and the view model is evolving as well as during our process to transition to map components. And you are still going to be able to build custom experiences as you do today. And for the view models, some of them will be moved to another location and be renamed. Some may be resolved into the core API. And for the full picture of our evolution of view models, we have this blog that talks about how to build custom workflows with the SDK, the future of view models, and we really like your voice. We would like to hear your voice as well. So during this process, we have this survey for you to fill out. It would be great if you can include your use case of view model, share what kind of view models you're using in your project, and we have a place at the very end for you to create a illustration. These will really help us inform the roadmap for future development. And also, as we mentioned, the team is having a full transition to components. So this will be we are going to deprecate all widgets starting Q1 2026, and the goal is have all widgets be removed from the SDK as early as Q1 2027. So it is really great to start your migration now. And also here, if you are building with Experience Builder Developer Edition, it is also important to note that for those widgets for Experience Builder, you should also start using components as well, using the JavaScript Maps SDK components to build custom widgets for Experience Builder. Oh, this is a mouthful. So for that, we have another blog detailing this called Building Future-Proof Custom Widgets for Experience Builder. And for these blogs, so we will have them in the YouTube descriptions for you to access in the future. And also, and this is a very fun part, and so we're going to talk about release strategy. So first, the future for widgets. Esri is fully investing in web components, so we will progressively deprecating widgets. All widgets will be planned for deprecation by Q1 2026, and widgets are planned for removal for Q1 2027. So again, it is really a great way. It is really a great time for you to start your development with components and start migrating your existing applications to components as well. And the business logic is the view model topic we just covered. Another exciting news we have is we are moving to semantic versioning. As we have in the release blog and release notes, the next release will be starting from 5.0, but it's nothing like the 3x to 4x transition. This is just a number change. So we're moving to semantic versioning. It will consist of major, minor, and patch. So for the major releases, we'll introduce breaking changes, deprecations. For minor releases, it will be backward compatible additions and deprecations. And the last number will be patch for bug fixes and security fixes. So semantic versioning is the industry standard. It will be easier for you to plan your updates to match the SDK's update. So in the near future, this is what the number will be like. So for the first release in 2026, that will happen around the same time of the online release as well. It will be the JavaScript Maps SDK 5.0. Calsite will move to 5.0 as well. And then our 3, it will be a minor release. The first one will be a major one. The second will be a minor release without breaking changes. The third release will also be a minor release without breaking changes. And then the first release of not next year, 2027, that will be 6.0. That will be another major release with breaking changes. And this is a plan combined with our widget roadmap. And here we have the information for if the breaking changes will be included. And that's all for the release strategies. And we're very excited to start the next phase of 5.0. It will come in a few months. So yeah, I think that's all that's all of the content for our live stream. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to post it in the chat. We will address them, and check out the links we have in the description. And have a good one, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.